Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I believe this is not just another ordinary day, this is a day of purpose, a day of growth, a day where something inside you is about to shift. You see, I don't believe you showed up by accident. I believe God brought you here because He's getting ready to take you to a new level. He's whispering to your heart, it's time to rise higher, it's time to stop settling. It's time to become too valuable to be ignored. There is a greatness in you. There are gifts, talents, ideas, potential that the world hasn't even seen yet. But here's the truth, God didn't create you to blend in. He created you to stand out. He put something in you that no one else has. And when you tap into that, when you grow it, guard it and give it all you got, you become a person that the world cannot overlook. So get ready. Because by the time we're done today, you're not just going to feel inspired, you're going to feel unstoppable. Every single person has been created with a purpose, with a unique assignment, and with gifts that are tailor-made just for them. You were not born empty. You were born with something special on the inside, a seed of greatness, a divine deposit placed in you by Almighty God. That means you're not here just to take up space, just to survive, or just to get by. You're here to make an impact, to shine your light, to bring something to this world that nobody else can bring the way you can. Too many people go through life unaware of the treasure that's already within them. They're waiting for someone to give them permission, waiting for a sign, waiting for the perfect opportunity. But what they don't realize is that everything they need to begin has already been planted inside them. God didn't create you and then forget to equip you. No, when He formed you, He wired you with potential, creativity, and ability. You might not see it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Sometimes it takes pressure, it takes challenges, it takes stepping out of the comfort zone to activate what's been lying dormant inside. You have to start discovering what's been placed in your spirit. Look at what excites you, what moves your heart, what comes naturally to you. Some people are gifted in leadership, others in compassion, some in creativity, some in solving problems, some in teaching, building, encouraging, organizing. Those are not random skills or lucky personality traits. That's God's fingerprint on your life. That's Him saying, this is what I put in you so you can go out and be a difference maker in the world. But discovery takes intention. You have to slow down and ask yourself, what am I really called to do? What stirs my soul? The enemy would love for you to stay distracted, comparing your life to everyone else's, scrolling through highlights of other people's success, and forgetting the power that's already inside of you. The moment you start discovering your gift, you stop trying to fit into everyone else's box. You begin to walk in authenticity. And that's when doors begin to open that you couldn't have forced open with your own strength. Some people say, Joel, I don't think I have anything special. I'm not talented. I'm not outgoing. I'm not educated enough. But that's just fear talking. That's just the lies the world tries to put on you. The truth is, you're carrying something valuable. The Bible says we have this treasure in earthen vessels, which means on the outside we may look ordinary, but on the inside there is treasure. You may have been through some pain, made some mistakes, grown up in a rough environment, but none of that changes what God put in you. In fact, He'll use those very things as part of your calling if you let Him. Your gift may not look like someone else's, and that's exactly the point. You're not called to copy, you're called to contribute. And the way you discover your gift is not by sitting on the sidelines waiting for everything to make sense. You discover it by stepping out, by trying, by serving, by showing up. Even when you're unsure, God honors movement. He blesses obedience. When you take one step toward your calling, He'll light the next step. When you put what little you have in His hands, He'll multiply it. Too often we think we need to have it all figured out before we start. But God doesn't expect perfection, He's just looking for willingness. The boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish didn't have much, but he gave what he had, and Jesus used it to feed thousands. That's the power of surrendering your gift to God. When you say, God, I don't know everything, but I'm willing, He begins to breathe on what you're carrying. And don't let age or background hold you back. Some people think it's too late, that they missed their window. But as long as you have breath, you have purpose. Moses didn't step into his calling until he was 80. David was anointed when he was just a boy. The gift is not limited by your past or by other people's opinions. God doesn't need everyone to believe in you. He just needs you to believe in what He's put in you. Excellence doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of a mindset, a decision to keep showing up, to keep improving, to keep sharpening what God has given you until it becomes undeniable. When you make up your mind that you're not going to settle for average, that you're not going to just do enough to get by, but instead aim for excellence in everything you do, that's when you begin to rise above. That's when you start becoming someone people can't ignore, because excellence always stands out. In a world where mediocrity is the norm, being excellent makes you rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. Whatever your gift is, whatever assignment God has placed in your hands, treat it like it matters. Don't wait for the spotlight to start giving your best. Don't wait for the recognition to work with excellence. Excellence begins in the unseen. It starts when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows what you're doing. That's where character is built. That's where discipline is formed. If you can be excellent in the private places, God will make sure you're seen in the public ones. He will reward what's done in secret. You may not have the biggest platform yet, but that's no excuse to be sloppy with your gift. Maybe you have a small business, maybe you're still in school, maybe you're serving in the background, but how you do the small things sets the tone for the big things. The way you handle your current responsibilities is preparing you for what's next. If you show God that He can trust you with a little, He'll trust you with more. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing commitment, consistency, and a desire to grow. There are people who have talent but no discipline. They start strong, but they don't finish. They're gifted, but they don't train. Over time, their gift becomes dull. But when you sharpen your skills, when you keep learning, keep practicing, keep stretching yourself, something powerful happens. Your confidence grows, your influence expands, and you separate yourself from the crowd. And this isn't about competing with others, it's about honoring what God gave you by doing it with excellence. When you honor your gift, you honor God. The world rewards excellence. Employers, leaders, influencers, they're all looking for people who go the extra mile, who don't just do what's required, but go beyond it. You want to become someone who adds so much value that people can't imagine moving forward without you. That kind of impact doesn't come from talent alone. It comes from preparation, it comes from sacrifice. It comes from making daily decisions to do things right, to get better, to keep showing up even when you're tired, even when it's inconvenient. Think about a diamond. It doesn't become valuable until it's been cut, shaped, and polished. The same is true for your life. You may have the raw material, but it's the refining process that brings out your value. That means there will be seasons where it feels uncomfortable, where you're being stressed, where you're under pressure. But those seasons are necessary. They're shaping your gift. They're polishing your potential. They're preparing you for the moment when the light will hit your life and everything God has been doing in private becomes visible to the world. You have to stay committed to growth. Read, study, practice, get around people who challenge you to rise higher. Don't be afraid of feedback. Don't run from correction. That's how you sharpen your edge. A dull sword looks like a sword, but it can't do its job. Don't just look gifted, be effective. Let your work speak for itself. Let the excellence of what you do open doors that words never could. Excellence carries a voice. It introduces you before you ever walk in the room. There will be moments when you feel like giving less. Moments when others are slacking off, cutting corners, doing the bare minimum, and it's tempting to follow suit. But remember, you're not called to be like everyone else. You're a person of distinction. You're called to do all things as if you're doing them for the Lord, not for people. That changes everything. It means you show up early, you stay focused, you give your best not because someone's watching, but because you're honoring God with your effort. Your gift may open the door, but it's your excellence that will keep you in the room. Talent may get you noticed, but excellence will get you respected. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, when you decide that average is not your identity, you begin to separate yourself from the crowd. You begin to operate on a different level. And before long, people will begin to take notice. Not because you told them, not because you demanded recognition, but because the consistency of your excellence made you impossible to ignore. The real test of character isn't how you act when everyone is watching. It's how you carry yourself when no one is around. It's easy to perform when the lights are on, when the crowd is clapping, when people are expecting something from you. But what defines your strength, your integrity, your value is what you choose to do in the quiet, private moments when there's no audience, no recognition, no praise. That's where greatness is built. That's where trust is formed. That's where God watches most closely. There's something powerful about being faithful behind the scenes. When you show up early, when you do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, when you keep your word even though no one would know if you broke it, that's integrity. And integrity will always take you further than talent alone. People may not notice at first. You might feel overlooked or even taken for granted. But those who walk in integrity are laying a foundation that cannot be shaken. They're building something solid, something lasting, something that no storm can destroy. You have to become the kind of person who doesn't need to be supervised to be excellent. That's how you make yourself dependable. That's how people begin to trust you with more responsibility, more influence, more opportunity. When others cut corners, you stay disciplined. When others only give effort when someone is watching, you stay consistent. That's how leaders are made, not just through charisma or charm, but through character in the quiet moments. God sees how you're working when the door is closed. He sees how you're treating people when they can't help you. He sees what you do when the spotlight is off. Every time you choose integrity, you're investing in your future. Every time you keep your standards high, you're strengthening your foundation. It may seem like no one notices now, but God keeps perfect records. And when the time is right, He knows how to elevate those who have stayed faithful. The promotion doesn't always come from people. Sometimes it comes from the favor of God that you didn't even see coming. All because you were consistent when no one was clapping. It's also important to remember that integrity isn't just about avoiding wrong, it's about choosing what's right, even when it costs you. That means turning down shortcuts. That means walking away from gossip, choosing honesty when it would be easier to lie, refusing to cheat when you know you could get away with it. It's in those small decisions that your strength is proven. It's not dramatic, it's not always visible, but it's powerful. Over time, people will begin to recognize that there's something different about you. You become someone they can count on, someone they can trust, someone they want to follow. And even more than that, you begin to develop a confidence that can't be shaken. Because when you know you've been doing the right thing, even when no one was looking, you don't need validation. You don't need to defend yourself. You're secure in your effort. You're grounded in your truth. That kind of confidence is rare and it's magnetic. It draws the right people to you, the right opportunities, the right doors. Because people are drawn to those who are solid, those who are steady, those who can be trusted in every season. There's also a peace that comes with living this way. You don't have to live in fear of being exposed, of being caught, of having to cover things up. When your private life matches your public life, you walk in peace, you sleep better, you carry less stress. That peace is priceless. It gives you the clarity to focus on what really matters. You're not wasting energy trying to maintain a facade. You're free to grow, free to serve, free to lead from a place of authenticity. Some people rise fast but fall even faster because their integrity couldn't keep up with their influence. The foundation wasn't strong enough to hold the weight of their success. That's why it's so important to build slowly, steadily, and honestly. Don't despise the season where you're working in the shadows. Don't rush to be seen before your character is ready. Every hidden act of integrity is preparing you for a visible platform that can actually last. When you make integrity your standard, you don't have to chase opportunities, they begin to find you. People begin to talk about your consistency, your dependability, your excellence. That's how you become too valuable to be ignored. Not by being loud, not by demanding attention, but by being solid when it counts the most. When your actions match your values, When your effort remains the same, no matter who's watching, you become a person of rare strength. That kind of strength commands respect. That kind of strength builds a legacy. That kind of strength sets you apart in a world full of shortcuts and compromises. Your energy is your currency, and where you invest it determines your value. Every day, you're either pouring your energy into building your purpose, or you're wasting it trying to prove your worth to people who may never see it. If you want to become someone too valuable to be ignored, you have to start protecting your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every conversation is worth your time. Not every argument deserves a response. You have to know when to engage and when to walk away. People who are going somewhere in life don't spend their time explaining themselves to everyone. They don't chase opinions. They don't run after validation. Their focus is different. Their mindset is locked in. They know that every ounce of attention they give to distractions is energy taken away from building something meaningful. You have to understand that there are people who will misunderstand you on purpose. There are people who don't want to see you rise. They want your energy, your reaction, your time. Because as long as they can distract you, they can delay you. Don't let them. You're not obligated to explain your vision to people who weren't given your purpose. What God placed in your heart wasn't meant for public approval. It was meant for personal responsibility. That means you'll have to make moves in silence. That means you'll have to endure seasons where people don't understand your choices. But instead of wasting energy trying to explain it, use that energy to execute it. Let results speak louder than explanations. Let your success be your statement. Let your focus be your defense. There's something powerful about quiet focus. When you stop announcing every move, when you stop advertising every plan, and just get to work, people begin to notice, not because you told them, but because your life starts to show it. That kind of energy is rare. In a noisy world, silence is a form of strength. When you stay low and move smart, you avoid unnecessary resistance. You stay light on your feet, you stay sharp, you conserve the power you need for the battles that actually matter. Think of your energy like a limited supply each day. The more you give to drama, to doubt, to trying to convince people of your worth, the less you have left for your mission. That's why boundaries are necessary. That's why solitude is sacred. You can't be everywhere for everyone and still build something valuable for yourself. You need time to think. You need time to grow. You need time to get clear on what matters. Not everything deserves your energy, and not everyone deserves your presence. Sometimes the best thing you can do is pull back, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. The more you grow, the more selective you have to be. Who you listen to, who you spend time with, who you allow to speak into your life, it all matters. Not everyone has the mindset for where you're going. Some people love the old version of you because it made them comfortable. But when you start growing, when you start setting standards, when you start walking in purpose, you threaten their comfort zone. That's when criticism comes. That's when silence is your greatest strategy. You don't have to defend your decisions when your heart is in alignment with your calling. You don't have to explain your boundaries when they're protecting your peace. You don't have to respond to every opinion when you know your direction. Your energy is too precious to waste on proving your worth. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to fulfill something deeper, something greater. And the moment you stop needing applause to feel valuable, you become truly powerful. Watch how your life shifts when you stop reacting to everything. Watch how much peace you gain when you stop chasing closure from people who never cared to understand you. Watch how much clarity you receive when you stop entertaining every distraction. That's when your energy starts to multiply. That's when your value starts to rise. Because energy that is focused is energy that transforms. Energy that is protected is energy that builds. And energy that is respected becomes unstoppable. If you want to be valuable, you have to be intentional. You have to decide what gets your attention and what doesn't. You have to guard your peace like it's your most prized possession. Because it is. That peace is where you hear God clearly. That peace is where your ideas are born. That peace is where your creativity flows. And you can't create anything meaningful from a place of chaos and exhaustion. You become valuable when your energy is focused on building, not battling. When your power comes from your purpose, not from people. When you invest in yourself instead of trying to explain yourself. When you stop waiting for someone to pick you, you start realizing that you were created to choose yourself. Too many people are living on hold, waiting for permission to start, waiting for validation to feel worthy, waiting for recognition to feel important. But life doesn't reward those who wait forever, it rewards those who take initiative. The moment you decide to choose yourself, you step into a different level of power. You're no longer begging for a seat at the table, you're building your own. That's when you become too valuable to be ignored, not because someone gave you value, but because you claimed it. There's something powerful that happens when you realize that no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you the perfect moment. No one is going to discover your greatness if you keep hiding it. Choosing yourself means deciding that your dreams are valid even if no one else claps. It means standing up and moving forward even when nobody else believes in what you're doing. You don't need everyone to believe in you, just you. If you can believe in your vision enough to take action every day, to show up when it's hard, to keep going when it's silent, you'll create the results that prove your worth. People will start to notice once you start producing. Results speak louder than opinions. But before the results come, there's a decision. A decision to show up. A decision to be consistent. A decision to stop waiting. Every successful person you admire didn't wait for someone to tell them they were ready. They chose themselves. They started with what they had. They moved even when it was messy. They didn't wait until everything was perfect, because perfection is just another form of procrastination. They moved in faith, and the clarity came as they walked. When you choose yourself, you stop living for other people's approval. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You stop apologizing for being ambitious. You stop dumbing down your potential to make others feel better. Choosing yourself means owning your path. It means stepping into rooms you once felt unqualified for. It means no longer asking, am I good enough? And instead saying, I'm going to get better every day, whether they notice or not. That mindset separates those who lead from those who follow. That mindset turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. You were not created to beg for recognition. You were created to rise, to grow, to become. And the journey begins the moment you stop seeking permission. Some people will misunderstand you. Some people will be uncomfortable with your confidence. But remember this, your purpose was not assigned by people, so it doesn't need to be approved by people. God placed something inside of you that only you can bring to life. That's why you can't wait for others to co-sign your calling. You have to co-sign it yourself through action, discipline, and unwavering self-respect. Every time you put your gifts to work, you are choosing yourself. Every time you practice when no one is watching, every time you stay up late refining your craft, every time you wake up early to build your future, you're declaring, I believe in what I carry. That belief creates momentum. And momentum creates movement. And before long, what was once ignored becomes impossible to overlook. Not because you made noise, but because you made impact. That's the real power of choosing yourself. You become a force that can't be denied. Don't wait for someone to invite you to lead. Lead where you are. Don't wait for a platform to speak. Speak your truth in your actions, your effort, your attitude. Don't wait for the title to take responsibility. Take ownership of your life now. Everything changes when you take control of what you can control: your work ethic, your mindset, your energy, your decisions. The outside world may still be catching up, but your inner world has already shifted. You no longer see yourself as someone who's trying to be worthy. You know you already are. You no longer wait for someone to unlock the door. You build your own and walk through it. The most powerful version of you is the one who stopped waiting, the one who stopped needing external permission, the one who looked in the mirror and said, I choose me. That's when your light begins to shine differently. That's when your confidence becomes quiet but unshakable. That's when your value begins to rise, not because you're trying to impress people, but because you're committed to expressing your full potential. And when you commit to that path, you become undeniable. Not because someone finally saw your worth, but because you never stop walking in it. Most people don't rise in life because they spend too much time comparing instead of preparing. The moment you start looking to your left and right, wondering why someone else is ahead, you lose focus on what you're supposed to be doing. Comparison is the thief of potential. It drains your energy, distracts your purpose, and distorts your vision. You weren't created to walk their path, you were created to master yours. And mastery doesn't come from watching others. It comes from working on yourself with relentless discipline. The key to becoming too valuable to be ignored is to get so deep into your own development that you don't have time to envy anyone else. You never know what someone else had to go through to be where they are. You don't know the battles they fought, the nights they cried, the work they put in behind closed doors. And even if you did, it wouldn't matter because their journey has nothing to do with yours. The only real competition you have is with the version of yourself that keeps making excuses. The one that keeps putting things off. The one that settles for good enough. You don't become excellent by beating others. You become excellent by beating your own limitations day after day. When you stop comparing and start preparing, you begin to grow. You stop asking, why them? And start asking, what can I learn? That shift in mindset changes everything. Because now, instead of feeling jealous of someone else's success, you use it as fuel. You say, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me too. But I've got to prepare. I've got to train. I've got to put in the unseen hours. Because greatness doesn't show up when you wish for it. It shows up when you're willing to work for it without applause, without recognition, without shortcuts. The most valuable people are not the loudest, they're the most prepared. They don't need to convince anyone of their worth because their work speaks for itself. Their habits reflect their hunger. Their consistency reflects their character. You don't become valuable by trying to look valuable. You become valuable by building something that serves, that inspires, that leaves an impact. That takes time. That takes discipline. That takes learning to delay gratification and stay focused on the long game, even when the short-term rewards are missing. Comparison can fool you into thinking you're behind when really you're just being built. Sometimes the season you're in feels quiet, hidden, or even slow, but what's happening beneath the surface is growth, deep growth. And growth takes time. Roots go deep before fruit ever shows. But if you're too busy watching someone else's fruit, you'll neglect your own roots. You'll miss the development God is trying to work in you. That's why your attention matters. Your focus matters. Because what you water grows and what you neglect dies. Preparation is the secret sauce of all success. The world may see the results, but they never see the preparation. They see the finished product, not the practice, but it's in the practice where your value is shaped. It's when you're reading the books no one sees, doing the reps no one applauds, writing the plans no one understands. That's when you're becoming someone they can't ignore. You've got to treat the unseen moments like they matter, because they do. Every small decision, every focused hour, every disciplined step, it's all preparation. And preparation builds power. You'll stop needing to prove yourself the moment you trust your preparation. You won't be shaken by rejection, overlooked by others, or slowed down by doubt because you'll know deep down that you're doing the work. You're not skipping steps. You're not chasing clout. You're building something real. And real always rises. Maybe not overnight, but eventually it can't be denied. That's the power of preparation. It makes you unshakable because your value isn't based on trends or attention. It's based on substance. There's a reason people who train with discipline move differently. They carry themselves with confidence, not arrogance. They don't chase opportunities, they attract them because the work they've done speaks volumes before they even say a word. That's the version of you that becomes too valuable to be ignored. The version that prepares when no one is watching. The version that shows up when it's hard. The version that doesn't compare, doesn't compete, just commits. That's where your edge is. That's where your power lives. And that's the path to greatness, not in wishing for more, but in preparing for it with everything you've got.